Now, are you going to need me to stand here for the camera, or does it matter?
You should be fine.
Okay, because I'd rather talk to the people and not the camera. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So hi everybody, how are you tonight? Good? Yeah? How many of you are still editing your work? Okay. Some things don't change. So my name's Joe, Joe Consiglio. I'm probably better known as Mr. C to anybody who has attended high school in North Wilmington. And if you have little brothers and sisters or nieces and nephews, they might know me as Silly Joe. So you rolled your eyes. Have you heard of Silly Joe?
Yeah.
How?
I have 4 younger siblings.
Okay. All right. So I'm that guy. Yes, with the underwear in his head. So, but I want to start by telling you about I don't want to talk about me too much. I want to talk about my neighbors because I have weird neighbors. Anybody here have weird neighbors? Like news vans coming soon neighbors, or just kind of odd?
News vans coming.
You have the news? Okay. All right. So make sure you check your security. My neighbors are just weird. They're nice. They're a little weird. They got, well, probably the strangest thing is they have this dog. They call him Pablo. It's a Pablo Perro, and he can't bark. He can run and he can jump and he can roll over and he can fetch. He can play dead. And he can do all these doggy tricks, but he can't bark. So it took him to obedience school, and the teacher said, speak. And when they said speak, Pablo said, quack, 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 quack. And the teacher said, there's something wrong with this dog. You better take him to the vet. Well, they were concerned, so they took him to the vet. When he got there, he could run, and he could jump, and he could roll over, and he could fetch. He could play dead. Well, the vet said speak. Pablo said, meow, meow. The vet said there's something really wrong with this dog, but it's not physical. It's psychological. You need to take him to a doggy psychologist. Well, Pablo's family, they'd gone this far. They were going the whole way. So they took him to a doggy psychologist, right? He got there, he could run, he could jump, and he could roll over, and he could fetch. He could play dead. Can any of you do zombie face? Anybody have a good zombie face? Show me your zombie face. Come on. Don't be afraid. Anybody? The 4-year-olds do it every time. Okay. So anyway, but when the psychologist said speak, Pablo said, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Da 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 da. So the psychologist said there's something really wrong with this dog, but it's not physical and it's not psychological. It's spiritual. This dog is possessed. You need to call an exorcist. Well, Pablo's family didn't know. And he said, look in the phone book. All they could find was a Colombian priest who said, I don't do dogs. But they did find out from Madame Bruja, spiritual advisor. They called her up. She came right over. Pablo did all his tricks. He could run, he could jump, he could roll over, he could fetch, he could play dead. But when she said speak, Pablo said, quack, 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 quack. She said, speak again. And Pablo said, meow, meow. She said, speak again. And Pablo said, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Da 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 da. Well, Pablo's family was very concerned, and Madame Bruja stood a long time in the kitchen rubbing the mold on her pointy chin. And finally she said, this dog, there's nothing wrong with him physically, and there's nothing wrong with him psychologically, and there's nothing wrong with him spiritually. This dog is exceptional. And Pablo's family was relieved, and they all joined hands and danced around the kitchen table while Pablo sang. Anybody want to sing with me? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Da 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 da. So do you think that's true? You said no? You think I made that up? A little or a lot? A little? All right, well, I made up a little bit, but my daughter's third grade class made up most of it. So I like telling that story because I think it illustrates a number of things about how I come up with stories, why I tell stories, and the kinds of stories I like to tell. So the story behind the story is I was doing a little program for my daughter's class, and I was saying, writing stories is a pretty simple business. You just have to keep it simple. And they're like, how do you do it? I said, okay, so you start with a character everybody recognizes, okay? So I said, you want to be a person, you want to be an animal? They said, animal. I said, okay, pick an animal. I said, dog. Fine, good, got a dog. I said, now you got to give that character a problem. So what would be a terrible thing for a dog? And somebody said, he can't bark. And I said, that would be pretty bad if you couldn't bark. I said, okay, now once you have a problem, then you have to have something you can do. So if you can't bark, what can he do? And the kid says, he can meow, right? And then we came up with quack, and then, so the little bit that I wrote the Tom Jones part, all right? So I did and I added the jazz hands. So anyway, I really think storytelling is that simple. I really think it's start with something that everybody recognizes. Put a character in a recognizable situation, give them a recognizable problem, and then just say what happens next, because you really just kind of build like, and then what, and then what, and then what. So that's kind of how I ended up writing stories. Now, I did prepare a talk, and I'm going to try to stick to my outline. So one of the things I wanted to address tonight was this idea of being a writer. So there are people who have said, hey, I heard you're a writer. Whenever I hear that, I think of this story. My friend told me he was a graduate student at Ole Miss in poetry. So he got a master's degree in creative writing and poetry, which is why he ended up teaching English in high school for a while and then importing wine. So, which is truly a shame because he's a great poet. He really is a great poet, but, he wanted to eat. So anyway, he said that there was a professor of his who told a story about William Faulkner, who was in residence there for forever. And the story goes that one day, this guy sees William Faulkner chasing a kid out of his office, swinging an umbrella at him. And the other professor stops and says, hey, Bill, what's going on? Bill, it's all right. What's wrong? He said, that damn kid. He said, what did he do? He said, he came in my office, told me he wanted to be a writer. And he said, okay, well, what's wrong with that? He said, well, if he'd come in and told me he wanted to write, I'd have talked to him. So whenever I think of somebody saying, oh, you're a writer, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, does that mean that there's a book cover with me going, or looking off into space, thoughtfully? What does it mean? I don't think being anything means anything. And you guys how many of you are still undergraduates? Okay. So have you gotten the question like, so what are you going to be? Have you heard that? What are you going to be? All right. I think we should ban the question. All right. It should be, what are you going to do? Because this idea of being something, so what am I? I have all these different titles. I'm a teacher, I'm a dad, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a writer, I'm a what am I doing right now? I'm talking to people, right? So I'm a lecturer. Like, put that on the list. It's really, what do you do? Okay? So if you like writing, and I would bet that you're here for a reason, that you like writing, or worse for you, you feel you have to write. How many of you feel that impulse, like it's just it's going to happen, whether you're like, you have it's 2 a.m. and I can't stop writing? Have you had those experiences? Okay. I wrote a novel a few years back, and I realized that I wasn't sleeping like at all, because I would start when my kids went to bed. Like, I'd start around 10 o'clock at night, and all day I'd be like, okay, I'm working on this chapter, I got this, and I gotta get this down, and I'd start typing. So what I had to do was I had to unplug my laptop, and when the battery died, the deal I made with myself is, when the battery dies, you go to bed, because you have to sleep, you have to stop at some point. So if you've got that kind of writing demon inside of you, then you are a writer because you write. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether you're published and whether the world reads you, or if it's just stuff that sits on your hard drive and you go, maybe someday somebody will discover my genius. It doesn't matter, because the most important thing is that you write, and that you continue to write and that you make it a part of your life forever because it's who you are. So, one of the things I want to talk about is how did I end up writing for children, okay? Instead of just writing, the stuff I wrote in high school, which was mostly how miserable I am today. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of what when you're 16, it's like misery poem number 742, So I really, two things happened. One, I had kids, okay? And two, the friend I was telling you about who went to Ole Miss said to me, I used to think that writing was about taking what's in you and pulling it out and showing it to the world. And then I realized that it was really about taking what I experienced in the world and pulling it together to share. So the whole movement for me was, I used to be in a rock band and I wrote a lot of songs that started with the word I this, I that, and then I started thinking what if I write, and I do this a lot, I give myself assignments. So I gave myself an assignment. I was going to write a series of songs, none of which were about me. And so the best thing I could think of was to write about fictional characters. So I wrote from the point of view of Penelope from the Odyssey, or from Cinderella, okay? The boy next door, all right? Who's been in love with her his whole life, but she wants a prince. And he's just the boy next door, And I came up with lines like, you've walked on glass too many hours. You've held your head too high to see. When it's midnight, Cinderella, where will you be? So I'm here, Doesn't matter whether you have a ball gown or not. So I started with that, and I thought, I like this. This is really liberating to not be inside me all the time. And then the other part was with my kids, I found that they had a lot of things inside them that they wanted to express, and there just wasn't a language to do it. Most kids' music is stick an ice pick in your head annoying. You know what I'm talking about? Okay? Like the Barney stuff and the fruit salad. See? Okay. Everything I hate about kids' music, right there. Okay? 1, is this a song or an advertisement? Are we trying to get kids to eat fruit salad? Is this supposed to do it? 2, we have to make the songs so inane that it's like a reflex. Fruit salad? All right. So I started singing fruit roll-ups. Yummy, yummy. Polysorbate 80. Yummy, yummy. High fructose corn syrup. Yummy, yummy. So just twisted it, But here's the thing, my kids never asked for that music. I'd be in the car and they'd be like, Dad, put on Led Zeppelin. All right, I'm all right, Then I started thinking you probably shouldn't hear those lyrics. Okay, let's find something there's nothing I could stand. So I started thinking, well, I'm going to write it for them because they need songs. And so I'm going to do a song for you real quick, just to give you an idea. So I remember writing this song. I got to give my daughter credit. She was the one who had the bad day. And she was in the back seat. I was trying to cheer her up. She was about 3, and there was just nothing going to work, I was offering her. I was trying to bribe her, You want this? No. You want that? No. I said, what do you want? She said, I want to be grumpy. It's all right. Okay. Fair enough. No, you can't make me laugh. No, you can't make me smile. 'Cause I want to be grumpy. Don't try to tickle and don't try to tease. 'Cause I want to be grumpy. I want to go to my room, stew all day in my gloom. I want to be be, I wanna be grumpy. Reverse psychology won't work on me, 'cause I wanna be grumpy. Don't tell me not to laugh, don't tell me not to smile, 'cause I wanna be grumpy. I want to knit my brow like this. Go ahead and do it. Stomp my foot and scowl. I wanna be I really wanna be. I wanna be grumpy. Now the fun part of that is, what do you think kids do when they hear the song? They laugh. They're not grumpy anymore. You know? Because you know what it is? It's like anything else. You don't say, oh, I would like to put on a song that's going to tell me what my attitude towards the world should be. Right? Like, you don't say, I really like this song because it reminds me to protect the environment and be kind to others. Like, do you want moral lessons in ethical and like social lessons in your song? Or do you just like want a song because, like, you know, my daughter's senior in high school, the grumpy one. So like, the last month, it's been nothing but Pearl Jam in the kitchen. She like starts baking cookies and blaring Pearl Jam. And I'm like, so that's where you are, okay. She's not putting on Pearl Jam because it puts her in the right frame of mind. It expresses the frame of mind she's already in. So that was one of the things I wanted to do for kids, was just meet them where they are and give them a vehicle to sing along and just say how they feel. So now the funny thing is that it worked. Like, I never had the intention of being a children's performer. I never had the intention of recording songs or writing children's stories. It just kind of happened where I was writing for my own kids, and then I started singing them at summer camp I worked at, and then the kids would go home and sing the songs, and parents started nagging me like, where do I get the song? I said, well, you can't, because I wrote it. And they're like, well, you got to record this stuff. So my first CD, I made it on a budget of $500. Had a friend who had a basement studio. I'd saved $500. I said, I got $5. Like, what can we do? He said, I'll give you a week. Fine. So we went in, and like, we just knocked it out. Like, all the mistakes. Like, I did all my own harmonies, and there are times where I'm singing one word on the main vocal and a different word on the harmony because I forgot the lyrics, and we didn't fix any of it. It's just like, it's just there. It's like, it's all there. Who cares? You know, I was really doing it for the 50 parents at camp who were demanding it, you know. So we put this thing out on this shoestring budget and sell 500 in the first year. I'm like, you people like this stuff? And then somebody told me they listened to that CD all the way to Disney World and back. It's 36 minutes long, okay? It's like 17 songs, 36 minutes. They listened to it all the way to Disney and back. I told them, I'm so very sorry. And they said, do you have anything else? So I took the money from the first one, made the second CD, which I like hired real musicians, you know, and I spent real time in the studio, like, you know, polished it all up, right? And from that point on, I went from doing like 10 birthday parties a year, because it was just kids at camp whose parents would say, hey, can you do a birthday party for my kid? To now I'm up to about 150 to 200 appearances a year. So it just, you know, went kind of crazy. Meantime, I always just wanted to write the great American novel, you know what I mean? Like, if you ask me what my ambitions were as a writer, it had nothing to do with what I'm doing, but I have to say, like, I really, really, really have fun with what I'm doing. So how did I get to a point where I got published? All right, so the CDs are self-published. And there is a track you could go to become a, you know, a major market children's musician, but it involves spending your life in a van. And The reason I wrote the songs is because I like being with my kids and I like singing for them. So it would basically mean giving up, abandoning my muse, right? My kids are my muse. Sorry, kids, I'm going to go be a rock star for other people's kids. That wasn't going to happen. Didn't want to do it. But books are great because, I figured I didn't have to leave home, right? You don't have to go sell them on the road, right? I was wrong about that, by the way. You do. Everybody who writes books and publishes books. There's the road part, too. You got to do it, okay? But anyway, I was playing birthday parties. I was writing books. I got lots of rejection letters, The book I'm about to share with you, I got rejected about, 30, 40 times, whatever. I got a rejection letter. This is great. I sent it Thursday, okay? I put it in the mailbox Thursday to a publisher in New York. I got a rejection postcard Friday. I live in Media, just south of Philadelphia. So my query letter made it from my house to New York City, got rejected, and returned to me in 24 hours. So, I'm sure they gave it real serious consideration, So and anybody I talk to is like, yeah, rejections, you just get rejected, you get rejected, you can't ever take that personally, although I have to say you still do. There's that part of you that's like, this will never happen for me. So I'm doing a birthday party, and this guy says, oh, I love that story. Have you published it? And I said, no. I said, I've been rejected a bunch. And he goes, oh, well, I work for a publisher. I'd like to talk to you. Okay. We talked, and this is what happened. Big Billy in the ice cream truck that wouldn't stop. I'm going to watch my time here because I don't want to waste your time. Make sure you have plenty of time tonight. On Sunday night at 7:05 in my neighborhood, the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver pulled into the neighborhood, played the ice cream truck music, and all the kids ran to their parents, pulled on their seats, and said, can I get it, please? And the parents came by and said, go, kid, go. And the kids ran down to the corner. When they got down to that driver saw him coming, you know what he did? He stepped on the gas. He sped to the back of the neighborhood. He made a dangerous turn. Hit the gas again. He sped away. He was gone. Well, that happened on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night as well. And those kids were upset. They were frustrated. But nobody was as upset or as frustrated as one kid. Big Billy. Big Billy loved ice cream more than any kid in the whole world. Big Billy could eat 24 ice cream sandwiches, 16 Rocket Pops, 15 cherry bombs, 5 hot fudge sundaes, and still have room for a banana split with whipped cream and a cherry on the top. Big Billy loved ice cream, so he was really frustrated by the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver. So, on Saturday morning, he got all the kids in the neighborhood together. And they all gathered around and had a little conference. You know what they said? He said, and on Saturday night, at 7:05 in my neighborhood, the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver pulled into the neighborhood, played the ice cream truck music, and when he got down to the first corner, there's nobody there. So he slowed down and he played the music a little louder. And when he got down to the second corner, there's still nobody there. Well, it was no fun being the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver unless there were kids to torture. So he went looking for those kids. He started to drive up and down the alleyways and the cul-de-sacs. He couldn't find any kids. He got all the way to the back of the neighborhood where he made that dangerous turn every night. He got all the way back there and heard a voice. And it came from the front of the neighborhood. And it said, "Now!" And all the kids jumped on their bikes, started chasing after that truck. That driver saw him coming in. He stepped on the gas. He made the dangerous turn. Hit the gas again. Well, that driver speeding along as fast as he could, and those kids were all chasing him on their bikes. And every time he passed a side street or an alleyway, more kids would join the chase. And kids were jumping out of trees onto their bikes. And kids were pushing up the manhole covers and coming out of the sewers on their bikes. And kids were parachuting down out of military aircraft onto their bikes. And that driver, he thought he had him beat. And then he turned and he looked to the front of the neighborhood. And there he saw Big Billy. Big Billy had size 27 shoes, legs 11 and a half feet long, and arms so wide he could hug everybody here all at once. Big Billy stood there with his hands on his hips like a colossus, and he dared that driver to drive past. With the driver speeding along. Look at front, back, 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 front, back. And he slammed on the brakes, and he turned the wheel, and the truck fell over to the side. The airbag deployed, and it popped open the back doors of the truck, and all the ice cream fell out onto the street. And the kids jumped off their bikes, and they dove on the pile, and they were grabbing ice cream sandwiches and rocket pops and push-up pops, and they were sticking them in their mouths, and they were sticking them in each other's shirts, and everybody's having a good time eating ice cream except for Big Billy. Big Billy just stood there staring down at the ground at the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver. And one by one, all the kids in the neighborhood noticed, and they all got quiet. And finally, the bravest kid in the neighborhood, brave Margaret, she went over and she picked up an ice cream. She brought it over to Big Billy and placed it at his feet. Then one by one, all the kids in the neighborhood, they all went over and picked up an ice cream, brought it over to Big Billy, and placed it at his feet until there was a giant pile of dripping, melting ice cream at the feet of Big Billy. Big Billy still hadn't moved. Finally, Big Billy reached down and he picked up a rocket pop. And he took one giant step towards the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver. And he took that rocket pop and he gave it to him. And he smiled. And the driver accepted it. And he smiled. And all the kids in the neighborhood cheered. Yay! And on Sunday night at 7:05 in my neighborhood, the world's kindest, sweetest, and most generous ice cream truck driver pulled into the neighborhood, played the ice cream truck music. And none of the kids ran to their parents, pulled on their sleeves and said, can I please? They didn't need to. They all ran down to the first corner. And everybody enjoyed ice cream because that driver was giving it away. So do you think I made that one up? Or here's the question I asked the kids. Do you think it's true? Not sure. All right. So here's what's true. This happened, okay? A few years back, my family and I moved. First night in the new house. Ice cream truck driver pulled in at 7:05. My daughter hit me up for a $5 bill. She ran to the corner, and the driver went zoom right past her, just like that, right? So that happened for a week, and then she said to me, Dad, why does he do that? I said, it's because he's the world's most evil, sinister, and wicked ice cream truck driver. Now, she was the kind of kid, she's still the kind of kid, who asks a lot of questions. It doesn't really matter how you answer them. You know what I'm saying? Like, Dad, how much snow are we going to get this year? 72 inches. How do you know? I talked to the snowman. Who's the snowman? He makes the snow. You know, you just, like, make stuff up, right? So she was like, was he around when you were a kid? I said, yeah. She said, what'd you do about it? I said, nothing. She said, who did? I said, Big Billy. She said, who was Big Billy? I said, he loved ice cream more than any kid in the whole world. You know, so I just kept, like, answering her questions until, you know, we had a whole story. Now, my process in revising a story is that, you know, we were talking about how I do very little of it on paper, you know. I always write a story down on paper at some point just to clarify it and make sure it works. But the real test is an audience. So I am fortunate doing all the shows I do that I can actually work out new material, you know, in front of a live audience. So I'll try new songs, I'll try new stories, I'll try new bits. Like, okay, here's the latest thing. I just did it just last week, and it went over big, okay? So a kid asked for Old MacDonald, right? So I started singing Old MacDonald. I said, what do you got on the farm? And I said, they got a cow. And I'm like, oh, great. Old MacDonald had a farm with a quack, quack here and a quack, quack. And the kid says, no, cows don't go quack. I said, well, cows do. They go moo. Like, oh, okay, moo, moo here. So then every time they told me an animal, I did the wrong noise. Well, by the end of it, they were just all in stitches. Like, because they could, like, they're like, what's that? And I finally finished it with, he had a sloth. With a here and a. They told me I got that one right. So, but the thing is, it's because I'm working with an audience all the time, it really helps me to revise things, see what works and what doesn't work. So one of the things I can, if I can pass on any advice, it is do a lot of readings. Share your, just emailing things. Can you look this over? Can you look this over? What's working, what's not? Because as writers, it's pretty solitary. You know what I mean? It's a pretty solitary thing. And we really, I think the work comes alive when it does reach an audience. And so even if it's just an audience of your peers to, so that, and I'll tell you what, sometimes I think I get something right, I'm really happy with it, and I find no use for it. Like I wrote a song called Uncle Knucklehead. I'm really proud of it. I love the song, right? It's about, every kid has an uncle. He lives in grandma's basement at the age of 33. When they drag him up for holidays, he gets lit like a Christmas tree. You got one of those? Right? But here's the thing. You can't do that at a kid's party. You can't do that, you know what I mean? You can't like talk about Uncle Knucklehead getting lit. You can't do it, So it's like, I love this song. I have no audience for it. I sing it for myself during warm-ups, So, but even there, I would play it for people who are just, what do you think of this one? What do you think of that one, Use the audience. All right, I'm going to wrap up because I've used just about my time, and I want to make sure that I give time to everyone else. So, some things that I would like to leave with you regarding getting published, okay? It's a lot about getting lucky. It's a lot about being out there. Was I lucky that I did a birthday party for a publisher? Yes. But I've also done like 800 or 900 birthday parties. So it's being out there. It's just being constantly exposed. Sooner or later, the luck will find you if you just stay out there. When I first decided that I wanted to do the Silly Joe thing, like for real, when I realized like, hey, people like these songs and I'm having fun, and they like the stories. I had no idea how to do it. So I just made a promise to myself that every day I would do one thing to push me forward. Just one thing. Even if it was return somebody's email or send an email to somebody saying, like, sometimes I would stop by a child care center and say, I want to do a program for you. Can I sing for 10 minutes for your kids? I got my guitar in the car, just to see if you like it or not. And sometimes they'd look at you like you're insane and say, no. And I'd say, I have my clearances. They're right here. Like, I'm legit, And sometimes they go, yeah, why not? Like, so you make your own audition, kind of, But, or if I just wrote a song or worked on something, but any little thing, I just decided I was going to do one little thing every day. The money. My first, actually, when you asked me about a year ago to come do this, and I couldn't make it last year, I had a check, royalties check from Big Billy for 10 cents. It cost Schiffer Publishing more for the stamp to send me the check than the check was worth. I didn't cash it. I just kept it because it was one of those things like, but that's not why you do it. You do it because your audience enjoys it and because I enjoy it. Because it's for the love. You do it for the love, and then that's your payment. However, I am now making a decent amount of side money doing the show. So I have libraries that have me come in as an author. I have libraries that have me come in as a musician. I have libraries that come in to do just straight up, I get all these different job titles. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? I'll do it, But because of that, and because they talk to one another and so forth, I'm now making enough money that I report it to the IRS, So I actually had to get a tax guy because I was like, I don't know what to do with all this stuff. By the way, if you're self-employed, get somebody to do your taxes because they do crazy things. I can deduct everything. It's amazing. Deduct my cell phone. I deduct the electricity in my house. Not all of it, but a portion of it because it's all part of the business. I looked at this guy, I was like, how do you do this? He goes, trust me. I'm like, well, your name's on it, right? He's like, yep. Okay. So I write him a check, and every year the government gives me a check. It's magic. I don't pretend to understand it. keeping on good terms with your muse, okay? You've been through ruts, writing ruts? Been through times where you just like, you feel like you want to write something, but there's nothing there, okay? So, inspiration versus perspiration. Sometimes you just, lightning strikes. You know, my son's friend gets in the car, tells me that his fish died, and he flushed it, and it didn't go down. So he peed on it. And I go, poor Gil, right? So during karate class, I got an envelope. It was floating around my car, and I'm writing the lyrics to Poor Gil. Poor Gil, he can't swim anymore. He just floats. Poor Gil. So sometimes it's like lightning, and you go, there it is, right? It's right there. And sometimes you go, well, I have an idea. This thing is taking some work. I have songs I have rewritten no less than 300 or 400 times. I just got notebooks full of rewrites. And some of them never work, okay? 95% of what I put in writing is garbage, okay? But the thing is, if you commit to it, if you commit to the perspiration part, sooner or later your muse will show up. And a lot of times I'll start working on project A, and then something else will happen because project A just helped me, it just moved me to the right place. You know, so making space for your writing, as you get to where I am in life and you got a full-time job and family and all that stuff, I carry notebooks into waiting rooms, okay? I just have a notebook with me all the time. Because if I have 5 minutes and nothing to do, you know, even if I just write 2 sentences, it just forces me to do, and any of you handwriters, anybody still write? Yeah. There's something different about it, isn't there? I do it both ways, but when I'm struggling with my muse, when I'm really trying to get something going, I pick up the pen, because something about that makes my brain work differently. So. All right, I've talked my 30-some minutes. Any questions? Anything you want to know? All right, well, let's hear your stuff, and then I'll be around after, so if you have questions after, I'll be happy to talk to you. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so welcome to the Reading Gala, which we host as the 3rd annual Reading Gala, obviously our 3rd year of doing it. So we're going to move into the student-read work. So the first person to come up is Daniel Baranowski. He's reading 2 poems called In the End and Masquerade.
First one is titled In the End. In the end, what is left behind tells more stories than we ever would. The legacy of our hearts, burning with passion and ambition towards our goals. In the end, what is left behind is all that we did and said. We will be proud of our accomplishments and relive the glory days of old. In the end, what is left behind shows who we really were in life. Our strengths and weaknesses are permanently etched in stone. In the end, what is left behind is all our failures and regrets. Ghosts of what if and what could have been forever haunt our memories. In the end, what is left behind is ourselves, our mortality, our humanity. Look back and ask yourself if you've lived and loved and lost and have no regrets or shame or fear. And the second one is titled Masquerade. Masquerade, paper faces on parade. Play along. Hide your face so that the world will never find the real you. Masquerade, every day the same charade. We wake up, put on our masks so everyone can see us how they want to. Masquerade, our personal barricade. Hurtful thoughts, unable to think at all the way we really want to do. Masquerade, no longer feel so afraid. Go, be free. Know that you are the only one to whom you need to be true. Masquerade, get back for being betrayed. Throw it off, and never lose faith in the real you who is born now anew. Thank you.
So our next reader to come up is Harmony Mooney, and she's doing Collection of Poetry from the Moon.
Hello. So I came from the moon when I was really young, and this planet is really weird. So I have a long collection of basically my diary. I had to translate it into English from Lunarian, so it might not be perfect. It is a darker scrutiny than all 4 seasons could allow. It sits upon my brow through the harsh transitions. Pray for me, little bunny, babe, or love boat, one paw in front of the other. Tiny mouse in the chocolate store wants more summer for the floorboards. They swell in kindly doze beneath glass panels of ceremony and sun. I am talking, but I am not speaking to you. The sweets are softening and gradually oozing through cheap foil. Barnaby and osmosis are the signs of the seasons. Caramel apples are favorites until we meet candy canes. My throat is sore, and it feels like Santa Claus stuck his talons in my mouth and scratched my tonsils with the cruel bite of winter, and my tonsils are bleeding. I tried to take a hot shower, but it didn't help. The tiny elves were covered in sand from the beach, and they held it under my nose to breathe in sand, and then they climbed in my mouth and sat on my tongue, squeezing pineapples on the open wounds in my throat. That one was about one of my first Christmas experiences on Earth. I give myself in to silt and sand-soaked authorities. My swashbuckling sweetheart from 7 roses 9 to noon, eating candy apples in the dark. The tide has gulls wrapped in wind, tidying your long hair of breadcrumbs. Never ever cut your hair. The signs are here in my hemisphere. Destiny has brainwaves made of microwaves, and I am a quaint sand dollar. This cacophony is cradled in a sound. A centaur that licks my stoning eyes, orbs and chalkboard brains. My fingernails scratch across your face. Charcoal is an eye, your eye is a sound. Don't tell me what to do, because I don't want to do anything you want me to. There's nothing wrong with an eye as the messenger of soul. If it's always been true and is true still, then it must have been said before. I might be sleepy in a terrible feat, wearing leather and a hybrid of threads. It's khaki and cargo and telepathic fleur-de-lis. LOL. Robin Hood is wearing a Conor Oberst costume. Now can you try to share your leaky brain with me? I am not a zombie, but if you love me, I can be. Anti-gun is a golden tube. Bernie is clamoring for me and Connor, and we are all wrapped in ivy and honor. Oh, CEO, baby doll, I'm sliding through dimensions, and you are on the astral plane. And now I am dressed up like the lady in the lake. How do you elongate your arm to be so beautiful? I might be excited for life.
know you wrote poetry like that. We're roommates. So it's just like, fits you right. Okay. Next person to come up is Grace McKenna, and she's reading a short creative essay called We Used to Be Closer Than This.
So this is a little personal and gets a little awkward. But my mother and I have never been close. We disagree on everything, arguing late into the night, blaming each other for everything. She is dysfunctional, distant, demanding, depraved of any form of childhood. Her relationships are dreadful. My mother and I have never been close until the last New Year's Day, when she texted me while I was out at breakfast with some friends to tell me that my stepfather had been having an affair for 7 years. In the moment of public tears and heartbroken memories, hopeless pleas to somebody, anybody, that this was just my mother's paranoia acting up again, I wanted nothing more than to hold my mother and tell her that I loved her. I wanted to watch her stupid Lifetime movies and make cookies with her that I'm allergic to, and laugh at strangers and hold her until she could feel again. I wanted to tell her that no matter what, I would never be able to leave her behind, that no matter how bad it gets, no matter how scared she is, I will hold her hand if she wants me to. But she would never want me to, because she is afraid of loving, which comes from the overwhelming fear of commitment that has fallen into people. There are so many situations around us that are characterized as the norm, the scandals, the things like that. We are all too suspicious that everybody has a skeleton in their closet. The songs around us are about the romanticization of the homewrecker, the heartbreaker, but those are not the people who win. What they cause instead is a colossal disintegration of trust, a prematurely learned habit of jealousy. What is created is a collective bargaining of emotions, collective by the people, by all people, juggling their emotions with everybody we might have a chance with. This normalized fear as loving has made people incapable of it. My mother would never want me to hold my hand, to hold her hand, because it means I care. That day, I watched the strangers around me blur into a mess of blues, greens, reds, and yellows, their t-shirts melting into the haze of my collapse. I felt the syrupy pancakes in my mouth dissolve into bitter loneliness, the knowledge that everybody my mother has ever loved has broken her heart, sinking into and scraping under my skin. I felt the words in my mouth, I have to go home, I have to go home, being repeated, but I didn't really hear them. It is her generation who says I'm part of the hookup generation, the generation who forgot how to date, who forgot how to fall in love. But our parents may not be the divorce generation, but they are the heartbreak generation. Or maybe we have never learned how to fall in love because there's some glory in being the other woman. The other woman is perfect where her rival fails. I cannot love you because I do not know how. I cannot love you because I will leap into an abyss and expect you to show me my way out. I cannot love you because you will hold my heart between your hands, and then because I am clumsy, I will trip into you and my heart will go splattering against the walls of your house. We are all afraid of commitment, whether we want to admit it or not, because on some subconscious level we are incapable. We are afraid of repeating our parents' footsteps and crashing into timeless marriages that stayed together just because they were too afraid to fall apart. The greatest love stories are a romanticization of the heartbreak. We are constantly waiting for Daisy Buchanan to leave her husband while Cleopatra lives hidden on the rooftops of a broken man's home. Too quick to jump, we're never letting our toes near the edge. There's an abyss always around the corner and heartbreak along with it, because we have learned that with love there comes an unexpectedness. I cannot love you because I have always been the other woman, whether I was aware of it or not. I cannot love you because I am tired of being left in a heap, of being not quite enough. I once dated a boy who synonymized love with obsession because he couldn't imagine happiness without an addiction to the unsafe. Love is unsafe. There is a reason it is called falling in love. It is the stumbling, crashing, colliding, tripping, clumsy misfooting of emotions. We have become afraid of the abstract, the irrational, and loving is the most irrational concept I can think of. The words I love you are empty. We say them without fully meaning them. We say them with an arsenal of weapons backing them up just in case. Then, because we are all cowards, we keep saying I love you until it turns into I do. And then when we are too afraid to say I don't love you anymore, we say nothing until we got caught saying I love you to the woman we work late with. Then we say, I never loved you anyway, because what we wanted to be loved was merely a small interest that we were too afraid to back out of. And I say that we all need to let go because Cleopatra wasn't happy at the end, and neither was Daisy Buchanan, and we all know that Romeo and Juliet die. We need to stop putting hope in the broken dreams in marriages and start putting hope in our own capabilities, because we will all find somebody who will grab our hand and jump with us, whether they are pulling us down or pushing us under. I met a woman once who, despite having her family stolen from her, never gave up hope. She said that living in fear will not fix anything, and it will not right the wrongs or stop the hurt from happening. She said, "Love is the mystery of life, and isn't it wonderful?"
Thank you for sharing that. We greatly appreciate it. So our next reader is Alayna DeMarco, and she's reading 2 poems called Love is Blind and Hide and Go Seek.
Hi, my first poem is Love is Blind. Love is blind, I don't want to see, so wrap Cupid's blindfold around me. Oh, mama, love is blind. I fell in love with the wrong man, but he is the right one to take my hand. Black skin cannot taint the soul, and white skin cannot extol, because, mama, love is blind. The betrothal ring is eternal, and the heart's root in its circles. Diamond cannot break, for God himself did create, because, mama, love is blind. Mama, I have been blinded by Cupid's arrow unrefined. Do not pray for Jesus to cure my eyes with Jerusalem dirt and holy saliva, for I have seen my heart's light, and hate's fire cannot outshine this sight. Oh, my love, run away from the crowds. Take my hand that to you I have avowed. Let us run from the hate and the halter, to a place where we can stand at the altar. Men are shouting, and the cross is burning, almost there. Love is blind, I don't ever want to see. Oh, won't you marry me? That's it. Alright, and this one's called Hide and Go Seek. Hey man, did you read the news about the little lost girl who hides everywhere? She played hide and go seek with her little best friend who counted 1 to 100 and the girl ran off. She hid behind the trees, between the rays, but it wasn't enough of a hiding spot. So she hid in the bushes where a man told her of a good place to hide, so he took her there. Now she hides in her thoughts, in her dreams, and on our tongues. Her laughter echoes in our ears and the empty spaces in our hearts where she used to live. Now she hides in the flames of the candle vigil and in our prayers from our lips. Her best friend ran to the vigil to seek out the little lost girl who hides everywhere. She hides between the words of her article in the paper, between the pixels of the TV featuring a segment on her. She hides on the bus, on the pole, on the wall, wherever her picture is, that's where she hides. Her best friend saw her face all around and ran rivers trying to seek the little lost girl who hides everywhere. Ollie, Ollie, oxen free, she shouted. The little lost girl can't hear her because she hides inside her calls, inside her tears, inside her heart, inside her memories of time shared together. She hides where her best friend can't see nor hear her because she hides inside of her, but rumor has it she's hiding 6 feet underground. And that's it.
Okay. So our next reader is Binta Edwards, and it's an excerpt called Introduction.
Fun fact, I wrote this to be specifically 666 words. You cautiously stroll down the long corridor, groping through the darkness. The only light you have is the phantom gleam of the crescent moon. You feel compelled to this place, yet you have no idea why. You aren't even sure what this place is, or even if you should be here. As you continue down the hall, you hear something that stops you in your pursuit, the sound of a pair of footsteps. You quickly turn around to see no one there, yet the noise continues. You pick up your pace, nearly running down the corridor. The footsteps are slow and steady, yet you feel as someone is right at your back. Your eyes search for an exit. You see a large door. Perhaps someone can help you in there, or at least a place to hide from the visible stalker. You rush through the darkness only to go flying into the rug. Look back, an overturned coffee table is at your left and a hulking shadow figure at your right. The faint light of the moon gives you a glimpse of your pursuer. Long, gnarled horns stood high upon the shadow's head. You scream and kick the coffee table at the figure, only to watch it burn on contact. Within the seconds of flames, you make out a face, charred and red with large fangs poking from its mouth. The figure reaches down to grab you. You want to scream, but your body is paralyzed with shock. The creature lifts you from the ground by your arm and gently places you in the crook of its arm, as if you're a precious doll. You are carried down the corridor through the darkness. Your heart is racing as well as your mind. You only imagine your escape, for your body is numb. The only thing you can do is wait. Wait for your impending horror. Wait for your sick demise. You close your eyes when you smell like familiar warmth. Coffee. You smell freshly brewed coffee. You open your eyes again to look around. From over the creature's arm, you see a well-lit library. There are endless columns and columns of bookshelves, all full of colorful pages and lined with great candles. The beast gently stands you on the floor and walks away. We've been expecting you, a voice called. The sense of serenity you felt left as quickly as it came. You searched the room for the source, but they're to no avail. Don't be frightened. Muse looks much more handsome under the light. You continue forward. The smell of hazelnut coffee entices you to turn around. Before you, a rather short man in three-piece black and yellow suit is carrying a tray of coffee mugs. He offers you a cup, but you politely decline, noticing the red tint in his skin and the horns pointing from his neatly combed white hair. The man frowns, beckons you to follow him. Cautiously, you follow him down the aisle. The Terrormancer's Cookbook, Demons and You, the biomedical research of lycanthropes. The title of the books are strange and things you've never heard of before. The red man, whom you assume is Muse, stands tapping his foot at the end of the aisle. His blue eyes are furious. He points at you, curling his finger in his direction. You go to him, and he points you to a quaint little fireplace. Upon the mantel were mirrors of various shapes and sizes, and a blank trophy. Upon getting into a mirror, you see a younger self of you, and you gasp. Next to the fireplace was a large black leather chair, and within it a peculiar man sat. His yellow eyes glared down at you. He takes a sip from a golden cup and flashes you a lupine grin. You take a step back. The man laughs. No point in fear now, my dear friend. He starts, you and I have bonding to do. And that's it.
I'm gonna move Big Billy a little lower. So our last reader is actually me. She feels weird saying that. But just before I read, I want to encourage especially you underclassmen to check out, we have a trifold that talks about our club, as well as some candy for those of you who have a sweet tooth. We encourage you to get involved a lot next year. I'm graduating, so that won't be me. If you're an underclassman, you have a chance to be a part of a writing group that can help you critique and grow as a writer, and get more involved in events like this. So my name is Brianna Connagham, for those of you who don't know, and I actually am the president of Read Out Loud. And I'm going to read 3 poems. The first one I found on accident when I was cleaning my desktop, or laptop really. Something I had to write for my freshman year for FYE 100. And it's a very structured poem called From Where I'm From and Where I'm Going. I am from the time between St. Patty's Day and the Ides of March, when my head was pointy because of being first and my mom thought I was deformed, where I lived in a trailer until I was 6 playing with chickens and digging holes in the garden. When my little brother was born, so we moved, and the screaming baby turned to the biggest pain and the biggest joy. When Clarissa explained it all, then turned to a teenage witch, Lois and Clark was being watched in a full house. 2 mice were figuring out world domination. When cartoons were for kids and parents weren't afraid of what was on TV, when MTV was just for music and TV comedies were actually funny, I am from a time of imagination where boy bands were big and Britney Spears was still the girl in the school uniform. I am from a place where I was called Nana because my name was too hard to pronounce. A time when I would play with friends next door and parents would wonder about the blonde girl who strangers thought was a boy because of the hair. A time when bullies were in my past and a life outside of my cocoon was opening. A time when another little soul was born with bright blonde hair and a tiny body. When parents would always yell and the word divorce made me cry at night, but no one knew. A time where friends were made and time moved on to where cool was important and an outsider was hurt. I am from a journey where my thoughts counted and true friends would emerge, where being the outsider was common and sometimes you didn't care what people thought. Sometimes. And the very shell you kept yourself in would crack more and more. I am from the journey where my soul would suffer because I was stupid, when the sharpness of a knife was inviting but never accepted, and the pain I felt put me in a place where I never want to be again. Where your father was on the precipice and you didn't want to let go, where your future was on the precipice and you didn't want to let go, but you knew that you had to. I am from the journey where money began to mean something if you wanted to go anywhere, but never controlled you, though it tempts to. I am going where only the few of my family have gone, to a place where people say, I'll be there for you, your family. where I begin to see the love of family outside of blood is important and rare for me. I know the signs, but not the roads, where my very faith and courage will be tested and my heart will stretch from my sleeve. I'm going to places where I never knew I would go and might not. I'm going to where possibilities mean something and the future has more weight to it. I'm going, yet standing still. And I wrote that freshman year. The other two poems are a bit different. They're kind of written in a whirlwind, and they are actually, this one is called Screwtape Letters. It's actually inspired by a song written by a rapper named Heath McNeese, who did a whole album based on C.S. Lewis works. So by extension, this is also inspired by C.S. Lewis's fiction writing called Screwtape Letters. Someone here wants to force my hand. Mental relapsation leads to human degradation. The shortest path to the hand is from the mind, and the lips even shorter. Sticks and stones will break the bones and cut the flesh to ribbons, but words hold power beyond our reasoning and life and death within them. Something here wants to kill my soul. I do what I want not and want what I do not. How can one be so contradictory, as if we have enough problems thinking hypocritically? We cannot move without a step in two directions. You cannot serve God and fill in the blank. An endless list of vices we fear to call sins. Two natures are at war, one for the highest, one of the lowest. Something here wants to tell me lies. Ich bin eine Frau. What's in here and now is how I've been created. I feel something's off like a ticking of a clock 2 seconds behind, or perhaps one that doesn't work at all. I am nothing. I am the accidental product of primordial ooze that has just happened to grow a deep desire for that which is beyond the elements. Someone here wants to see me dead. Face to the ground, I cry in agony. There is no peace in me, so restore unto me the joy of salvation when hit with chasm-sized unfathomable depression. I cannot feel no happiness, nor anger, no sadness, nor not hunger. Blade and all dances through the mind, but does not touch the skin. Why end what is here for a purpose? Someone here cannot have my heart. It's a slow fade when you give yourself away. What does one give away when one is so selfish that giving is a curse? What else but the soul? Since it is all we have from start to finish, out of the dust into the dust, a puff of air, a blink of the eye. The heart wants what the heart wants, even what's worst for it. So the heart desperately needs to change. Something here wants to force my hand. The enemy of me is beyond the eyes, no, not bacteria or the virus that tries. There are things beyond the vision of one so finite. But he was made a little lower than them, yet higher than us to bring the flesh away from itself. The battleground is brutal, and the enemy is not mortal, but neither is he who made them that also made us. As I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Those demons move about my head, they do continue to want me dead. The adopter that has made me more, has given me weapons ready for war. Though the battle is long and severe, what have I to run from and to fear? And if I should die before I wake, I rest in the Lord, my soul he'll take. And the next one is based on the book, The Four Loves, based off the knowledge that in the Greek there are 4 different words for love. Storge, familiar love. The eldest child of 3 to a German descent mother and an Irish descent daddy. Parents divorced when I was 10. Took that long for me to see I was still angry at them. No such thing as no fault divorce. 6 years a junior, my brother was born, might as well have been 2. Didn't take long for us to heal the pain caused by sibling rivalry, which is really hideous jealousy. 8 years a junior, my sister was born, might as well have been 50. Took a step from me to help heal the gap caused by me. Eventually, we'll be close as we should be. The warmth of my mother's hugs, I miss her. I'm just like her. The shared interests of my dad, lefties unite. I'm just like him. Halfway between the two of them. Bro can't sing, but we click real well, wants to be a writer too. Sister is a mini-me, stereotypical youngest child syndrome. I've got other family woven in and out of this girl's tapestry. This is the love that helped me grow. Eros, romantic love. Big loft in the UK, or a farmhouse in North Georgia. My prince and I, someday. Lonely, oh so lonely so often. Can't even stand myself sometimes. How will someone else? Venusian lust has taken over the new drug. The mind is lost in darkness when love becomes a god. Demonic descent over what was good. It's no good no more in this disordered frame. Pictures flash in front of me, written word taking over the mind, PTSD visually. Hurts the soul, gotta look away, think on better things. When love is renewed and healing begins, to be chosen continually, to get to choose. The one to change the world with. We'll see if Prince Sincere will show up with his dinged up armor and feel affection for a princess with a dirty gown and several scars. This is the love I have not known. Filio, brotherly love. Side by side we look ahead, hand in hand we stand. I cannot move forward without fellow man. Possessive friendship is not friendship. They are not ours to own and cannot fill the holes in our hearts. Best friend, 5 to 9, moved away, so no more friends. 5 years later, after nothing so long, till a brunette similar to me stepped in, and a blonde followed later. The amoeba that is us. One is married, the other 2 not. 2 in school, the other 1 not. The 3 amigops, don't judge, 9 years strong. A deep laughter that taught me to be a sister. A great guy that will always be close to my heart. Interdispersed in this university and at the church where I play the guitar. Can't wait to see who is next. This is the love that's challenged me so. Agape, unconditional love. The hardest chapter to write, maybe because I've never seen it, but boy, is it ever present. Idolatrous heart, adulterous actions, yet love continues to spite me. The parental warmth and discipline that fills the need love in our hearts. The fierce pursuit with a waterfall of affection for the ones he created. The sacrificial attitude when one lays down his life for the ones that hate him. Here I present, I am, in the best way I can. This is the love that makes me whole. For he did not send him into the world to condemn it, he sent him into the world to save it. How great the Father's love for us, what a friend we have in Jesus, Lord and Savior. Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. You are the one that makes the heart to beat. This is the love that saved my soul. This is the love that saved my soul. Now, I guess we are officially done with the reading gala. Thank you so much for coming. Like I said, we have our trifold board in the back if you want to check us out. We also have candy if you have a sweet tooth. But thank you so much. Hope you have a great evening.